China is going to eat our lunch? Come on, man. They're not bad folks, but guess what? They're not a competition for us.
Yeah, a billion slaves. What's that going to win them? Come on. Thousands of nuclear weapons and intercontinental ballistic missiles and millions of troops and a giant navy. What's that going to get them? Hey, if you can't take Joe Biden's word for it, and China, they're not going to eat our lunch. Just because they got locked up Eric Swalwell in a little box. The Chinese honeypot spy sent to California to recruit Democrats. She, the honeypot, pretty hot, and she recruited Eric Swalwell when he was a city councilman in California. Where was it? Dublin, California? I think that's right. And then he went to the U.S. House of Representatives with the help of the Chinese Communist Party and Fang, his honeypot controller. And you may remember that Senator Dianne Feinstein, she had a Chinese spy on her staff in her San Francisco district office for about 2 decades. Then the FBI finally got around to saying, oh, yeah, by the way, your driver, your interpreter, your liaison to the Chinese community, he's an intelligence operative for the Chinese Communist Party. And you have given him access to your computers and your offices and your schedules and everything that's going on. And the Chinese spy that Dianne Feinstein had on her staff for decades, a very successful spy. Fang, a huge hit in Chinese secret agent circles. She recruited Eric Swalwell, who will apparently just nail anything that walks past him. And here comes Fang, probably a lot better looking than a lot of what Eric Swalwell, but that's another discussion for another day. And now Time Magazine has the headline, California mayor resigns, admitting to being an agent for China. Everybody pronounces China a little bit differently because of President Trump's influence, I think. China. Everybody throws a little bit of a China in there, a little Trump flair. But here is Time Magazine, Chad de Guzman writing the story for Time Magazine. The mayor of a Los Angeles suburb resigned Monday as U.S. officials announced that she will plead guilty in federal court to acting as an illegal agent for the Chinese government, cutting in on the Biden family's action there because the Biden family, they're illegal agents for the Chinese government as well. Aren't they great? Federal prosecutors announced on Monday that Eileen Wang, W-A-N-G, and 58 years old of Arcadia, California, has been charged with 1 count of acting in the U.S. as an illegal agent of a foreign government, again, just like Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, and is expected to plead guilty in the coming weeks. The charge is punishable by up to 10 years in prison. In a Chinese prison? No, in an American prison. Mayor Wang admitted to acting as a foreign agent from at least 2020 through 2022, promoting PRC, the People's Republic of China, promoting PRC propaganda in the U.S. That just makes her a Democrat, and acting as the People's Republic of China direction to promote their interests. FBI Director Kash Patel posted on X. Democrats were protesting outside of his hotel, allegedly banging pots and pans against their skulls. FBI and our federal partners continue to move aggressively to root out this kind of influence in American institutions all over the country. Wang was elected in November of 2022 to be one of the 5-member Arcadia City Council, where the mayor is selected on a rotating basis. They love a lot of things on a rotating basis, don't they? City manager Dominic Lazaretto said in a statement on Monday that Wang, who became mayor in February, has resigned from the council.
Hey, Wang, what's with the pictures? It's a parking lot. Come on.
Come on, Wang. It's a parking lot, for crying out loud. And when I was in high school, one of my best buddies, palling around buddies, was Wang. It was Wang, W-A-N-G also. But his father from China, his beautiful mother from Sweden. And she was like the talk of the neighborhood. But my friend Aaron Wong, they W-A-N-G, but they went by Wang rather than Wang. And this lady may go by Wong also, even though it's not W-O-N-G, it's W-A-N-G.
I think this place is restricted, Wang, so don't tell me you're Jewish.
That's right, exactly. So come on, Wang. Come on, it's a parking lot. What's with the pictures? It's a parking lot. Rodney Dangerfield. God, Rodney Dangerfield is great. Oh, speaking of Rodney Dangerfield, I have something else that was making the rounds a little bit today, and with friends, and I want to share this with you because got to meet him one time years ago and hang out with him a little bit. Don Rickles, the great and always hilarious Don Rickles, turned 100 years old. What? Is that right? That's impossible. That's completely nuts. Now, it would have been. It was his, he was born 100 years ago, but sadly, no longer with us. And but friends sending out, hey, it's got to celebrate. It's 100 years of Rickles. But when taking a look at that, we did discover something else, and that is that Mel Brooks, who is alive and well, will be turning 100 years old next month. Mel Brooks. And he's been talking about History of the World Part 2. Now, he's 99 years old right now, but he does turn 100 years old June 28th of 2026 because he was born, of course, on June 28th of 1926. And Mel Brooks, come on, so much great stuff. So it's like Monty Python has a great body of work, and Mel Brooks all by himself has an amazing and great body of work. And he's going to be 100 years old next month. Isn't that great? And Rickles, we did get to hang out with Rickles one time. It was a ton of fun. Just an amazing and hilarious guy, funny guy. He did pass away, so we can celebrate. You observe by toasting a glass or something, because comedy lived in those guys, and the Dems, they murder everything, including comedy. Aren't they amazing? I know. Let's go to this HBO show. There's an HBO show called Euphoria. Are you familiar with this? Euphoria. I don't know if they have any Chinese spies on their payroll, like Dianne Feinstein and Eric Swalwell and the mayor of Arcadia, California. Isn't that amazing stuff? But there's a show on HBO, and it's called Euphoria, and it's got people in it, including the very attractive Sydney Sweeney, who has stirred up a little bit of trouble because the left is completely mentally ill. But this TV show, Euphoria, it's a teen drama. It's an HBO television series, and they got women and some hot women and Sydney Sweeney and all that stuff. But there's a scene in the TV show now that is getting the attention of a few people here, because there is a scene with Sydney Sweeney, attractive jean model. What else is she? She's a jean model. She wears jeans and she models them. And she's been involved in a lot of controversy. And that's the Daily Beast has the story today. MAGA Darlings, Euphoria storyline turns more Americans against her. What's this? MAGA Darlings, Euphoria storyline. Is she the owner and operator of the TV show Euphoria? Sydney Sweeney has found herself at the center of a controversy once again, thanks to her role on HBO's hit show Euphoria. Never seen a frame of it. Sweeney was the focal point of an online firestorm last summer after an American Eagle advertisement that she featured in was criticized for being Nazi propaganda. Remember that? As Nazi. And then they firebombed every synagogue they could find, the Democrats. Far-right commentators were quick to seize the opportunity to claim Sweeney was one of their own, celebrating the end of woke advertising and praising Sydney Sweeney and her all-American looks for standing tall against the supposed threat posed by DEI initiatives. The left is very severely mentally ill. With Euphoria, the HBO show, back on the air for its third season, Sweeney is once again facing backlash online, this time for actions her fictional counterpart has undertaken. How tragic is that? The show's third season sees Sweeney's Cassie Howard join OnlyFans in order to afford her wedding to Jacob Ellard's, Nate Jacobs, whatever, blah, 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 characters. Several other characters in the show also work adjacent to the sex industry. They call it the sex industry because they want prostitution to be legal because they want their daughters to become prostitutes. That's the Democrat Party. Wherever you go, if you're going to go, like, have Thanksgiving dinner with a Democrat family, bring a black light, just for laughs, just for fun. Walk around the table, put the black light on it. Say, hey, I just want to see you guys are all sex industry workers, aren't you? Are you unionized? So the assistant manager at a strip club is one of the characters. And, well, Hunter Schafer is Jules Vaughn, sugar baby to a plastic surgeon. And they're going through the whole plot here. But here's the scene in the TV show with the lovely and attractive Sydney Sweeney. And it's got the Democrats very upset. See if you can figure out why, and see if you can figure out what she's saying here, because it could go one way and it could go the other way. Kind of like Eric Swalwell.
Like, if a man today were to say that he wants a girlfriend that can cook or clean, he might as well be screaming the N-word.
What?
Okay.
Well, you sound like a Democrat.
I'm not retarded.
I'm sorry, I'm not retarded? You sound like a Democrat. And she says, I'm sorry, I'm not retarded. But what does that mean? You sound like a Democrat, and you say, excuse me, I'm not retarded. Does that mean you definitely are a Democrat, or does that mean you're definitely not a Democrat? I think that the line could be interpreted either way. But the Democrats, now they're upset about this because you're not allowed to say retarded. But if you're a Hollywood TV show, you're on HBO, then probably you're allowed to say retarded because the rules don't apply to the Democrats. They don't have any rules. They are, Democrats. They're the left, and you can say whatever you want, do whatever you want, be whatever you want. You can be Harvey Weinstein, you can be Jeffrey Epstein, you can be Bill Clinton, you can be Hillary Clinton, and it's okay. But if you're Sydney Sweeney, that's not okay. And now she has declared, and it's a little unclear. I mean, again, Michael Piercy and I, we listened to it a couple of times and said, well, wait a minute, is she saying, no, I'm definitely not a Democrat. I mean, come on, I'm not retarded. Or as when the guy says, you sound like a Democrat, and she says, I'm not retarded, is she trying to say, oh, I'm definitely a Democrat, I'm not retarded, right?
Well, you sound like a Democrat.
I'm not retarded.
I'm not retarded. See, and I took it because I think she's fun. I think she's saying, oh, I'm definitely not a Democrat. I'm not retarded. If I were retarded, I'd be a Democrat. See, and that's what the HBO show, which is it that they're saying, though? It's hard to say. But these people, I am telling you. Yeah. So, and now the media they're very upset about this because you can't say that. Can't say these things. So, but they can. See, here's the thing. Were it not for double standards, liberals would have no standards at all. And they'll tell the whole world, you can't use that word. And then they use it very casually on television that's seen all over the world. And they dare you to mention it. Then they'll come up with some mentally ill explanation because you know how they are. I used to think that a mattress was just a piece of furniture until Ghost Bed sent me one of their mattresses to try. They bring mattresses into the 21st century because Ghost Bed doesn't build mattresses like wooden furniture. They engineer sleep systems. Their beds are designed to help with relief and recovery. Bed, sleeping, resting. Not supposed to look good in the showroom before you put sheets on it. That doesn't matter. Your body should be healing while you sleep, not fighting for comfort and trying to get to sleep. I noticed the difference right away. So if you're waking up stiff, you're tossing and turning, sleeping hot, or even reaching for pain relief before you go to bed, hoping tonight will somehow be different. That is not normal aging, and that could be your mattress talking to you. Here's another thing that I really like about the Ghost Bed. You get 101 nights to try it at home, at your home, and if you don't feel the difference, you can send it back risk-free. Ghost Bed right now is offering my audience, that's you, their lowest prices of the season, plus, because we hang out together, an extra 10% off. Just go to ghostbed.com/plant and use the promo code PLANT. That's right, you get that? ghostbed.com/plant, and the promo code is PLANTE. Yes, sir. Ah, yes, the Ghost Bed. Yeah, so that was a little bit fun. We got the one Democrat lady screaming that she's going to assassinate Trump and kill his whole family. But that's kind of what the Attorney General of Virginia said about the Republican speaker in Virginia, in Richmond, Virginia. It was going to kill him, shoot him in the head, and then kill his children in front of their mother. Now he's the Attorney General, and he misspells. What do he misspell? Senator, and he misspelled Virginia. The word Virginia he misspelled. I think he should be expelled from office and disbarred for misspelling the words Virginia and senator in his petition, which he thought he was sending to the U.S. Supreme Court, but he accidentally sent to the Virginia Supreme Court. I think he might be retarded. Oh, I have so many stories to get to. It's completely nuts. I was talking about Mel Brooks turning 100 years old. The great actress Eva Marie Saint turns 102 years old. Turns 102 years old on the 4th of July this year. That means she's currently 101 years old, as you might imagine. That's a pretty amazing thing. Now, there are all kinds of great stories. Zohran Mamdani in New York scraps planned New York City property tax hike in revised budget. He was planning on increasing everybody's property taxes in New York City, and they're dropping that now because nobody wants anything to do with his stuff. Just amazing. Also, great WUSA Channel 9. In Alaska town sees the last sunset. They had sunset yesterday before it faces 84 days of straight sunlight. No sunset for 84 days. Not the whole state of Alaska. It's a big state. But isn't that amazing? Northernmost city in the U.S. seeing the last sunset for the next 84 days. Utquagvik. It's a tough name. It's a native name. Sunset. No more. The Twitter stuff going around Jimmy Fallon. Another disgusting attack on a New York City synagogue, but don't worry, Mayor Mamdani is hunting down the violent anti-Semites, and he will not rest until all of them have been invited to dinner at Gracie Mansion. And there is a New York Times reporter who was in the middle of the anti-Semitic Nazi violence, and he's got hair down to his nipples. He's a man, and he's got hair long, a foot and a half long down to the middle of his chest, and it doesn't make him a cross-dresser. But he's the Banshee posts, a reporter from the New York Times was surrounded and harassed by pro-Hamas rioters. His response was to write. He pulled out a big notepad, not a skinny little reporter's notepad, but a big notepad, and he wrote, "Did you read Christoph?" on his notepad, and he held it up and smiled at the people as a peace offering. And Banshee writes, incredible. But if you read Nicholas Kristof, he's attacking Israel and saying the Jews are out there raping Palestinian women and torturing them, because that's what the New York Times is reporting. So he is showing the pro-Hamas terrorists on the streets of New York, hey, the New York Times is on your side. We're genocidal Jew haters too. We should be wearing armbands. And some of us are even Jewish, and we would set up the death camps and play the violin at the gate. That's a historic reference. All right, let's go to the telephones again. Jasmine is saying, Jasmine, I got to go. I'm going to go to Bob because Jasmine said I've got to go to. Let's go to Bob calling from Munster, Indiana. Oh, Bob, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
Hey, Bob, I'm great, buddy. Thanks.
It's been a while, man. Last time I talked to you, we talked about the Monty Python skit with the race for men with no sense of direction.
The race for men with no sense of direction, which is just great. You know, what happened? There's no comedy like that anymore. The left murdered comedy, didn't they?
But listen, to get to why I called it, this is a Don Rickles story. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, I worked for a private investigation firm, and we also did private security. And one of our biggest clients was which I'm sure you're familiar with, was the Park Hyatt Hotel.
Yeah, sure, in D.C., yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah, beautiful place. And, for those of us who weren't doing investigations, we would go down there when celebrities came into town, and we would work with their security people. And when Rickles came in, I just happened to be one who was at the hotel at the time, and I was in the hallway near the elevators. My job was to watch the elevators go up with them, and then I would hang outside the room there and monitor that. But when he came in, he walks up to the counter, and between the people who were there wanting to see him, and press, and everybody, journalists, all the security people, the counter people, the bellhop, he walks up to the register, and when he goes to sign it, the last person to sign who was there was Pia Zadora, because this is a special register for the celebrities. And he sees Pia Zadora's name, and he turns around and he looks at everybody. He's like, Pia Zadora? I'm not signing after this. And oh my God, the whole room just went absolutely berserk. And he just started going off on different things that I can't even repeat. It was just classic. It was a moment I just will never forget in my life. It was unbelievable. Rickles at his best.
Well, he was naturally hilarious all his life, and he played, when he started out in movies, he played tough guys. He played like gun-toting bad guys, and he might slip a joke in with a sinister smirk on his face. And he was on the Andy Griffith Show, and he was on the Munsters, every TV show you watched growing up. Don Rickles was on everything, and he was everywhere, and he was just hilarious. And had an amazing career. And then he was doing Vegas forever and selling the place out for decades. And I got to meet him once, Bob, also because my best girl and I, we were going to Atlantic City for the weekend. We were going to be staying at the Trump Hotel and Casino at the time. And we were with a couple of friends of ours, and I'll say it was William Peter Blatty, the author of The Exorcist, and his lovely wife, Julie, and we were having dinner with them and said, oh, yeah, we're going to Atlantic City this weekend because we're going to see Rickles live at the casino there. And Bill and Julie said, are you kidding me? Rickles is one of our best old friends. We're the greatest of friends. I said, how did I never hear this? So the four of us went together to Atlantic City, and we saw Rickles and had great seats. And then afterward went backstage to hang out with Rickles after the show was wrapped up and stuff. And we got to hang out with him for a little while. And I got to tell you, since he's somebody that's been making me laugh and howl since I was a little kid, it was just an
I never wanted to miss a Carson episode when he was on.
Right. Yeah.
Ever. And I have to say one more thing before I leave you. I have the pleasure of when I was working upstairs outside the luxury suite was on the very top floor at the Hyatt. And gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous room. I actually have the pleasure of being called a hockey puck.
That's exactly right. And he called, I'm not sure if it was even me, but he called somebody a hockey puck while we were there. And
sure.
And
he has to.
It made it complete. It's like, crossing your T's and dotting your I's. And did he call you a hockey puck? That is, come on, that is just That's just great stuff.
Hey, Chris.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for taking my call, and I love what you're doing there, and I really do appreciate you taking this call. Thank you, sir.
Oh, heck yeah. That's why we're here, man. This is real democracy in action. Thank you, Bob. That's great stuff. See, that's an American, like a real American, a regular American. Wonderful stuff. I love this country. This place is great. The left is here. They're communists. They're here to kill everybody and steal everything because that's what the left does everywhere they go, and it's all they've ever done. Just by the way. All right, now we've got other wild things to get to here. Let's go to I'm thinking about let's go over. We have Iran that we want to get to, and well, why don't we do that now? We'll do it now, and then we'll move on to the next thing. President Trump talking about Iran and the ceasefire, and this came up. Michael and I spoke about it very briefly before the show. What was it, last Wednesday in our mailbag question? One of the great Americans wrote a question. Do you think that President Trump's efforts in Iran with diplomacy will work, or will it all have to, I don't have the question in front of me, or will it all go back to warfare? And my answer was, I don't think that diplomacy will work with Iran, because they're terrorists. See, that's the problem with diplomacy is they'll sign an agreement with you and then they'll chop your head off and slap it on a steel pike in front of their tent just to attract flies. So it's kind of difficult doing diplomacy with people that would kill your whole neighborhood and chop their heads off. So President Trump asked yesterday, you got this ceasefire and they keep firing on U.S. ships and keep threatening and keep firing on this, and they're hiding their enriched uranium deep underground, 460 kilos of enriched uranium to 60%, and it's maybe not quite high enriched. It might be high enriched, but just barely. You need it 90% enriched for weapons, which they could do in about a week and a half with the 60%. And the ability to enrich uranium, which remains in place. Then Barack Obama paid for it because he's a communist and he's a Hussein, so he's not on our side. But a reporter asked President Trump about the ceasefire with Iran.
For the time being, the ceasefire remains in place?
It's unbelievably weak, I would say. I would call it the weakest right now. After reading that piece of garbage they sent us, I didn't even finish reading it. They said, I'm not going to waste my time reading it. I would say it's one of the weakest right now. I would say the ceasefire is on massive life support, where the doctor walks in and says, sir, your loved one has approximately a 1% chance of living.
So there it is. President Trump has been trying, and he wants to denuclearize in terms of weapons Iran. And the Democrats want to cut down Trump, and they want to help Iran. The most important ally that Iran has in the world is not communist China, which is a good ally of theirs, an important buyer of their oil and so on. Not Putin's Russia, more communists, the axis of evil, communists in Beijing, communists in Moscow, and the jihadis in Tehran. But the most important ally that Iran has is the Democrat Party in the United States of America. There's no doubt about that. And again, last week on the mailbag, I was asked, do you think that there will be a diplomatic resolution? And I said, and I don't like to be cynical, but I do have to be skeptical. The terrorists are not going to cut a diplomatic deal. They're going to kill your children. That's kind of their medieval solution to everything. And then there was a French reporter at the White House asking President Trump questions yesterday. How do you know it's a French reporter? Well, I'll let you judge for yourself. A French reporter and President Trump.
Do you believe a diplomatic solution is possible with Iran, or do you only have military options?
No, I think it's very possible. Look, I've had to deal with them 4 or 5 times. They change their mind. They're very dishonorable people, the leadership. Don't forget it's the 3rd level. The 1st level is gone. They were unreasonable. The 2nd level is more reasonable. The 3rd level, nobody wants to be president, you know. They say, who wants to be president? There's nobody raises their hand. You know? But we're they change their mind. I've had that in business many times. The mind changers, you call them. These people that you make a deal, and then the next day they send you a document that takes 5 days to get there when it should have been there in 20 minutes. It's a pretty simple document. They will never have a nuclear weapon, yeah?
Well, that's that. It should take 5 minutes. It takes 3 weeks. This is how you get 500 years behind the rest of the world. And the Iranians are less guilty of this than the Arabs that surround the Iranians. But how do you get 500 years behind? Well, one stupid move at a time. One stupid move after another. That's good stuff. Now, this just broke. Governor Scamberger in Virginia does not support replacing the state Supreme Court justices to retry redistricting. But she does favor standing up the Confederate States of America again and firing on Fort Sumter. The Democrats. Democrat Governor Abigail Scamberger issued her opposition. She issued her opposition to one of the many ideas being floated by members of her party, Democrats, after the state Supreme Court struck down the redistricting effort, the effort to steal seats at gunpoint for the Democrats in their civil war against the United States of America. Governor Abigail Scamberger issued an unequivocal opposition statement Monday to a suggested floating by Democrats that the Supreme Court of Virginia be dissolved to resurrect a push to redraw the state's congressional map after the effort was struck down by the state Supreme Court on Friday. So she must have another criminal scheme in mind. Former CIA crook, not a hero out there working in the field. She's fighting over a better parking space in Langley her whole career. When asked by a reporter if she supports getting rid of the Supreme Court for redistricting, she responded with a simple but firm no while leaving the event on Monday. That's yesterday. The idea began making the rounds among Democrats in Virginia and in Congress over the weekend after the state Supreme Court, 7 justices, it split 4-3 decision. 4 of the justices were selected by Democrat governors, and 3 were not. The Democrats, they just want to burn every synagogue and wear armbands. So just amazing stuff. They want to nullify what the Supreme Court decided, find a sleazy trick. We're going to make the mandatory retirement age 54, and the youngest of the 7 justices is already 54, so they'd all have to resign, and just amazing stuff. When I was a kid, I grew up in a CBS News family. Walter Cronkite was the anchorman at CBS Evening News, and the nation's most trusted man, Walter Cronkite. When he reached the age of 65 at CBS News, 65 was the mandatory retirement age for CBS News employees, and Walter Cronkite was forced to resign and retire from CBS News because of that. Isn't that amazing? Look what I've done to the clock. What did we want to get to? I've run out. I keep doing this. 3 hours is just not enough time. I'm going to go to lunch and chew my best girl's ear off because I've got a lot more to say. I'm going to bring the stories sheet over here, as I know there are things we haven't gotten to. Oh, yeah, Netanyahu. Netanyahu says he wants to stop taking American money, $3.8 billion a year that we give Israel. And, of course, the Democrats gave more than that to Iran because they know Iran wants to kill everybody, and so does the left. So the left is helping the world's leading terrorists because, nobody kills like the left. Netanyahu coming up. Yeah, so Mamdani in New York, the commie jihadi, is getting rid of his planned property tax increases, which is good news for civilization. Yeah, this town in northern Alaska, sun went down on Sunday, and they're not going to see it again for 84 days. That's pretty amazing. Also, the Free Beacon, the wonderful Free Beacon with a great story today. Federal Reserve staff funds Democrat Party lurch to left. What? The central bank economists back socialist politicians. Turns out the people at the Federal Reserve that won't work well with President Trump, they love funding. The more left-wing you are, the more the staff at the Fed will fund you, the Democrat Party. And they've been pushing the Democrat Party farther to the left, the people. But that's another story for another day. Let's go to the interview from 60 Minutes on Sunday night before last, with Benjamin Netanyahu, and it was a heck of an interview. Major Garrett, looking a little ruddy, talking to this is the money thing here. And Netanyahu was great, of course, and the interview was fine. But Netanyahu said this, and it was kind of a big deal.
Do you believe it's time for the state of Israel to re-examine and possibly reset its financial relationship to the United States, meaning what the United States provides to Israel on an annual basis?
Absolutely. And I've said this to President Trump. I've said it to our own people. Their jaws drop.
Their jaws drop. Well, what do you mean, stop taking money from the United States of America?
Well, what do you mean? What are you saying?
I want to draw down to zero the American financial support, the financial component of the military cooperation that we have, because we receive $3.8 billion a year, and I think that it's time that we weaned ourselves from the remaining military support.
Wow, that's pretty amazing stuff. We give them $3.8 billion a year. It's essentially military aid. Try to keep a lid on things in the Islamic world.
Can you give me a timetable?
I said, let's start now and do it over the next decade, over the next 10 years. But
over the next decade, he had to explain. It's Major Garrett. So a decade is 10 years. That's 10. It's the same thing, 10 years or a decade. Let's stop doing it and phase out U.S. aid, military aid to Israel, stand on their own 2 feet. And, then the global thermonuclear war will start out of Iran thanks to Barack Obama. But we'll see.